Now, I want to take a pause here and I want to unplug from today's findings for a second. And I want to talk about Virginia Giuffre for a minute, okay? Just for a tiny minute, guys. I want to talk about how instrumental she was. I feel like we need to honor Virginia Giuffre because one of the things about Virginia Giuffre, I think the trauma presented in her body after all this fighting and standing up to Epstein and being the international symbol of this movement, her body started breaking down, which led to a lot of painkiller addiction. She had struggled with painkillers. She has been abused from her father to like Ron Eppinger to sent to like a Christian camp where they abused her right up to Epstein. I mean, her life, dude, was like, it's heartrending what this woman went through. And her husband, her husband was, pretty, I don't know. He was pretty unpredictable as well. She didn't pick good men. Let me just say, I don't think ever. But guys, what I want to talk about though, is I want to talk about how instrumental she was. I feel like we need to honor Virginia Giuffre, okay, for a moment here as this breaks through, because she is the person who is responsible for the 3 million Epstein files that are sitting on that DOJ server right now. And let me just tell you, she broke the whole thing wide open. And in particular, it was Naomi Campbell's birthday party. I'm going to take you on a little rabbit hole right now in honor of this. So Virginia was picked up from the spa in Mar-a-Lago. Okay. Virginia was picked up in the spa in Mar-a-Lago around 2001. I think it was 2000. Okay. She was 16, about to be 17. Ghislaine Maxwell approached her in the parking lot or what have you, then invited her over. Oh, we're going to send you to massage school. Started this relationship. Okay. Now this relationship started with Epstein and then it went beyond that. Now we find out later that Epstein paid off Virginia Giuffre's father. Okay. Trump knew these people. Virginia Giuffre's father worked at Mar-a-Lago. Okay. These people, like, Trump knew them. Okay. He knew who Virginia was. He knew that she went to work for Epstein, right? He'll never admit it, but he knew this shit. Okay. Now, from the very beginning, there were threats leveraged against Virginia. And eventually it went beyond her being abused by Epstein and, Ghislaine Maxwell. And then she started being loaned out, right, to other men. Some who she named, some she didn't. One of them was Bill Richardson, the governor of New Mexico, AKA why Epstein's Zorro Ranch in New Mexico was so protected. He was heavily connected in New Mexico, right? There are other people. Ehud Barak is one who she refused to name. There's like some senators. And obviously the most famous one was Prince Andrew. Okay, now, here's what's crazy, guys, is eventually somebody from the Daily Mail went to Virginia Giuffre and met with her to tell her story. And this was like very pivotal. She was like one of the first people to speak up and like very powerful. So I have talked about this before, about how in the beginning, Virginia did this. Somebody from the UK, a writer, Churcher, came to meet with Virginia in Australia and wrote this story and then gave Virginia some really bad advice. Okay. She gave Virginia some advice. They paid her money. And then she told her to write fictional accounts of this shit. And so this stuff was used later to discredit Virginia. Now, I've always believed that Prince Andrew sent that reporter to out the story, but to do it in a way that would later come back and haunt Virginia Giuffre. But guys, remember when she first came out with this story, she produced the photograph that I'm going to show you with Prince Andrew. Okay, this very famous photograph, Virginia, that was taken in Ghislaine's flat. Remember this photo? Okay, look at her outfit. Okay, look at her outfit here. Okay, there she is. She's wearing these like sort of zippy, like shiny pants. She's wearing her little pink halter top. Okay, she's 17. She's young. She's in England in Ghislaine's flat. Epstein is taking the photo. We have Ghislaine. We have Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew is real familiar here. Okay, now he says, oh yeah, I don't remember this photo. I think this photo is fake. Okay, now, initially when this photo came out, a lot of people challenged it. They called her a liar. But then something happened. Okay, Naomi Campbell had her 31st birthday party. You ready for this, guys? This is mind-blowing. In 2001, Naomi Campbell here had her 31st birthday party, and these pictures got broadcast. They were all over Getty Images. They were a big deal. But what ended up happening is people doubted Virginia. They doubted that, like, why would you be with Prince Andrew? You're not in that circle. That photo is fake. Prince Andrew said that photo is fake. But then they started looking at Naomi Campbell's 31st birthday party, and look at what you have here. You have Virginia Giuffre, right? Look at her. She's a kid. She's wearing the same halter top, the same pink halter top. You have Ghislaine Maxwell right here. She's right next to Naomi Campbell. And everyone is like, whoa, we found a photo that just happens to show her in the same outfit. And yeah, dude, she looks out of place. I mean, look at them all. They're all dressed to the nines. They're all in high fashion. They're all wearing suits and jackets and really fancy shit. And she's wearing a pink tank top. She is wearing the exact tank top from this photo. But guys, it gets better. So when they discovered that, they started looking into this. And then they found another photo of her on the yacht. This is on a yacht, okay, out in the Caribbean. So now she's in two photos. And then look at this one. Here's a photo of Ghislaine, right, standing there next to this same fancy rich guy from here. And look at what you see there. You see the pants? She has the same outfit on. Because, guys, remember, dude, she's like 17. I mean, she doesn't have these fancy clothes. Maybe she had one outfit she would wear when she went out, like, partying or whatever. But, like, isn't this crazy? They blew this shit apart. So Virginia, and you can see her little side of her halter top, and look at Ghislaine, like, with her looking at the camera. So this was when they realized, wow, Virginia really was there. And not only was she there, guys, but she was a fucking kid, bro. Now, this just like hit like a rocket ship, because all of a sudden what ended up happening is they had to contend with the fact that there was something to Virginia's story. And now it was like on the record. You know what I mean? This child had been taken onto a yacht in the Caribbean with these famous people. Again, this is like, you know, the young girl probably every time she went partying, she had one outfit that she felt really comfortable in, with the halter top, with her pants on. But I think this photo is really interesting too, because everybody here is like centered around Naomi, and she's like a child up there, right? Holding the jacket and like sort of out of place, not in the center of this thing. Like, what is this girl doing there? So that was the moment that everybody realized, like, wow, Virginia is really telling the truth. She really was there. She really had no business. A 17-year-old girl from Florida, from 𝗙ecie, which is like a trailer park area of Florida, who was a spa worker part-time at Mar-a-Lago. What is this girl doing on a yacht in St. Tropez with Naomi Campbell and everybody else of the billionaire jet set. She got taken there, guys. She got taken there. Now, what ultimately happened is that gave Virginia credibility. And then Virginia started telling her story. And then what kicked this off, guys, was that Ghislaine Maxwell had identified a Jane Doe, and Ghislaine Maxwell identified that Jane Doe as Virginia Giuffre and called her a liar. And so Virginia Giuffre and her lawyer, 𝗙cie𝗶𝗹𝗪, this is Virginia's lawyer, powerhouse woman, okay? So Siggy and Virginia Giuffre decided to sue Ghislaine Maxwell. All right, now, let me just run you through this. This was after Jeffrey Epstein's case had come and gone in Palm Beach. He got off. The Palm Beach police went to the FBI. Trump's future labor secretary, Alex Acosta, threw the case out. They gave him immunity. They didn't tell any of the victims. They hid all this shit. It was buried. It was gone. It was done. Everything was done. Nobody was ever going to hear about Epstein. This thing was buried. There was no public record of any of that shit. The grand jury documents were sealed. Nobody would have ever heard a word. There was nothing for reporters to report. There was no information request you could get. It was literally just gone. And then Ghislaine Maxwell attacked Virginia Giuffre in the press, identified a Jane Doe, said that's Virginia Giuffre, she's a liar. Now, one of the common techniques for guys who grape women, a rich guy who grapes women, is if the woman says he did it, they will sue the woman for defamation. And they attack them with lawyers, they bear down on them, they investigate their life, they shred them, they follow them with private investigators, they make their life a living hell, and eventually the woman relents and gives up the charge because the rich guy is just destroying her because she doesn't have enough money and power to go against his lawyers. Well, what was interesting about Siggy here and Virginia Giuffre is they flipped the script. After Ghislaine Maxwell said that Virginia Giuffre lied and identified her from this Jane Doe court proceeding, they sued Ghislaine for defamation and said, well, she obviously has some prior knowledge about Virginia Giuffre and what actually went on, or she wouldn't have recognized her as the Jane Doe. And she's saying she's lying. So they sued Ghislaine Maxwell for defamation. And this happened in 2016. This was while Trump was running. So that entire year, Virginia Giuffre did depositions. She was deposed. Ghislaine was deposed. Jeffrey Epstein was deposed. A whole bunch of their people, his driver, 𝗙𝗪𝗏𝗍, all these people were deposed. And then all of their statements were now in the public record. And because Donald Trump was running for president and knew Jeffrey Epstein, every reporter in America was looking into everyone who knew Donald Trump. So they found these depositions that Virginia Giuffre had put on the record. And eventually Virginia Giuffre, I believe she won the lawsuit and there was like a settlement. But that put all of that stuff in the public record for journalists to find. Then, of course, what happened was Me Too happened. And then Me Too changed the climate to where women were believed. And then, of course, Julie K. Brown from the Miami Herald found this stuff and wrote a series of articles that blew the whole thing open. And eventually there was another lawsuit where the women victims sued the government, essentially saying, hey, when the feds gave Epstein immunity, they violated our victim rights, and they won. And that allowed them to prosecute Jeffrey Epstein and eventually Ghislaine Maxwell. And so Virginia Giuffre and her, these photographs, the Getty images of her being on that boat were the very thing, guys, that completely blew up this case and got us to where we are now. Isn't that insane? That is insane. But guys, this photo here haunts me. Okay? This photo haunts me because when you look at it, she is like so out of place. You know what I mean? And look at her face. Dude, she's a kid. Okay? She is a kid. She is a child, bro, in a sea of like, you know, wealthy adults, right? And she's on a yacht. Okay? She's on a yacht in the middle of the Caribbean with no parents. She's there with Ghislaine and Jeffrey Epstein and like just, you know, and I mean, I imagine for her, you know, think back if you're 16, right? If you're 16 and you're on a yacht at Naomi Campbell's 31st birthday party, you're probably like, whoa, starstruck. You know what I'm saying? I would have been like, wow, dude. But also like so vulnerable, right? Yes, she's in a sea of like sharks and nobody to protect her or defend her. And so what I'm trying to like, you know, like, it's like when you look at Virginia Giuffre and you look at the women that put Harvey Weinstein away, one of whom is Gavin Newsom's wife, by the way. Okay, Gavin Newsom's wife, 𝗙𝗪𝗏, she was one of Harvey Weinstein's, she's a Harvey Weinstein survivor, and she helped put that man away, okay? You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of different people were affected by this shit. But those women in Me Too, and these Epstein women that have been working on this for 30 years, and in particular, Virginia Giuffre being the woman who did the public fight and broke this thing wide open, that is like what we're dealing with right now. Okay, all these files, this shit, it all started with this woman and those Me Too women. And Virginia Giuffre ultimately, like, she paid with her life, dude. It cost her life because it was just too much, too big, too painful, the battle was just too, like, all-consuming, you know? And so I want to honor her, dude. I want to honor her, and I want to honor Sarah Ransom and Annie and Maria Farmer and everybody connected to this. And like we have to, guys. It's like now that this is rolling and now that this ball is opened up, I feel like what we need to do, guys, we have to see this through. Okay? We have to see this through, guys. It doesn't matter if it's 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, another 20 years. Like, we got to see it through. And what we're discovering from this recent dump is that it's pervasive, man. Like, everybody in the Trump orbit, and I mean everybody, okay? Everybody is a part of this. What is up, guys? Thank you so much for watching. You like the video, you want to support independent resistance media, you know what to do. Drop that sub, hit the like button, and please share it. And we do love our members, so if you want to become a member, it's another really great way to support. Thanks again for everything, guys. I'll see you next time. Let's go.